Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. Of course, it's me, Abram, and I'm joined by none other than one Mr. Tucker Hazel, who has put together a set for you today because if you notice in the background, his Nintendo Switch is set up playing Super Mario Bros. 3, which is the topic of today's video and also the first installment of a three-part review series we're doing,
Ooh.
where we're going to talk about Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and then we're going to be answering the age-old question, which is the best 2D Mario game? Well, I wouldn't say that either Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario
Spoilers
World
for two
is the
parts in the
best.
future.
Spoiler alert, but part 3 will, of course, be answering that classic community question. Which do we prefer, Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World? But we can't do that until we've reviewed both games proper.
True.
Now, we're starting that today, and Tucker, I want you to fucking hit it off because you have been playing a lot of this game. I woke up to a Snapchat today saying you wrote a 1,500 word review about this game. You
Yep.
seem to be very excited, and I want you to guide me.
Very excited for a lot of reasons here. All
All
right.
right.
I've gone on many records in the past, but one of
Sure.
my records that I've been on a couple times is that I'm not a big straight up 2D platformer guy. I like straight up 3D platforming. I like plenty of 2D platformer spin-offs, if you will, Metroidvanias, mostly Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
But I like platforming, but 2D platformer straight up just getting to the end of the level never really appealed to me. But I have been playing through a lot of classic games this year, and I was like, all right, you know what? It's finally time for me to tackle some of the games that people consider the best of all time. One of them, just randomly, being Super Mario Bros. 3. I started playing it one night, like really, really late one night. It was like 1 a.m. And I'm like, I'm going to play Super Mario Bros. 3.
No better time.
And I did. And I have since beaten the game with heavy use of rewind, just to put that out there. But I'm very excited to talk about this game for a
Okay.
lot of reasons.
Well, there we go. Do you want to start out with one of those reasons?
One of those reasons being that I like this game a lot more than I was expecting. And it really took me blasting through. I played about 2 hours of the game yesterday, playing the last half of the game. I think I played the last 4 worlds yesterday, and really putting the time into the game and seeing the game back to back to back really picked up my enthusiasm for it. And I have since finishing it late last night, writing my 1,500 word review, which by the way is still in progress. There's things I want to add.
Sure.
I have since watched the gaming historian video on it, the completionist video on it, and I'm in the middle of the hour-long Game Explain Mario 3 retrospective. So I'm kind of just trying to absorb the hype and zeitgeist around this game that I missed because it came out 12 years before I was born.
Fair. That's a good reason to miss the hype.
Yeah.
I miss it for a
Good
similar
excuse.
reason.
Good
Yes.
excuse, yeah.
Mario 3 is a very special game. I think it does a lot really, really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's most impressive to me about it is the way it feels so complete and so grand, which I want to get into. I want to get into the map, and I want to get into its framing of everything as perhaps a play. I want to get into all of these different nuances, but where do you want to begin?
I do have some pretty major criticisms of the game. I don't know.
Okay.
Should we get those out of the way first?
See,
I know you probably got some.
I do. I think it makes most sense to just let them flow as we encounter them, you know?
Okay, sure.
Do you want to talk about the map? Because I kind of want to start with the map. Because I think
Yeah,
the
well,
map...
I think framing this as the biggest thing that this game has going for it, in my opinion, is its innovation. This game is so much more than all the Mario games that came before it. It's absolutely bonkers. And that's one of the biggest things I touched on in my review. Link in the description on my backlogged profile.
Okay.
But this game does so many things that just feel like normal platformer things to someone who grew up many years after this game came out. But seeing where they came from and seeing how well it executes a lot of them, it's absolutely crazy how many new things that this game throws at you as a 90s kid.
I think it's important to also recognize with it. I think it does some things better and with more care than a lot of games came after it, especially a lot of Mario games that came after it.
Yeah.
And I keep saying the map, because I think the map is what ties this game together.
Yeah.
And presents, I think, a sense of adventure and challenge and legitimate thought and strategy that you don't get in a lot of other 2D platformers.
Sure.
There's so many nuances, like not only what route do you want to take through the map, what little events do you want to do? Do you want to fight the Hammer Bros? Do you want to dodge the Hammer Bros? But then how do you want to use your items? Do you want to use your cloud to skip over a challenging level with the understanding that, you played with Rewind and everything. I also played with save states. I beat it before Rewind was a thing. But do you want to skip this level with the knowledge that if you fuck up, you're going back past the level you skipped? There's a lot of interesting nuance and challenge that makes the world map more than a level select. And by doing so makes the whole adventure feel like more than just a series of obstacle courses.
Yeah, and that's the greatest thing about this game, in my opinion. I have a lot of things that I'm going to really praise later on, but just the fact that all the innovation that I was talking about is tied together so well, because not only does this game have a world map, one of the first world maps to exist in video games, but it does that in an interesting way. Like, as you could say, you can interact with the world map in a lot of ways. There are puzzle rooms, there are enemy encounters, there like the roaming enemies, there are toad houses, there are mini games. Like, there's a lot to do on the world map that, honestly, looking back as someone who played New Super Mario's DS, Wii, and 2 all when I was a kid, they don't even necessarily have all that. There's not really things to break on the map. There's not secrets, as many secrets to discover. And I think that's really cool, especially because it allows another layer wrapped around just levels. There's the inventory system of power-ups and things that you can use on the map, which it's great. I knew that existed. Hold on.
Can't let that go to sleep.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
I knew that existed, but I didn't really realize to what extent you can have like 3 rows of power-ups. You can just hoard them. And each of those allow you to interact with the game in such a different level. You're not just playing through bam, 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 like you were in all the other previous Mario games. I mean, it really is an entirely new way to interact with platforming.
Yeah, and I really liked what you said about New Super Mario Brothers, because those games and World continued this trend, but I don't think they made it as integral to gameplay. And everything you just mentioned is integral to gameplay.
Yeah.
The inventory system is integral to gameplay, that using those toad houses, playing those mini games, fighting enemies for more powerful items to use later on your map, it all feels important. None of it feels superfluous. It doesn't feel like you're spending 5-star coins to unlock one little road up to a mushroom house that you don't really need in the scheme of things. There's a level of deliberateness that you need in your gameplay here that I think
Deliberacy, maybe?
I'm gonna be fucking honest, I have no idea what the right word is. But I think that's so special. And that's always what stands out the most to me when I reflect back on my time playing this game. Because you have played it, I'm assuming, just on SNES Online?
No, I own the cartridge. And I've played it a little bit there. Just the same with any NES game I own. I've played a good amount. I have very close to beating the original Super Mario Brothers on an original NES cart, but then it got too fucking hard and I just swapped to NES Online. But no, yeah, I've played it elsewhere.
Yeah, because I just
not that much. Playing through this game, I realized that I've probably only played the first 4 or 5 levels before this playthrough, which I blasted through in the last 3 days.
I have played this game extensively in a lot of weird ways. The way I played this game the most was the New Super Mario Bros. Advance release.
Okay, yeah.
So I have an interesting perspective. I never got to play the e-reader shit because I never had an e-reader. Shout out, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Wii U re-release of Mario 3 Advance does have those e-reader levels. So I actually do want to pick it up and play through that. So this is a game I've been playing a lot in various permutations there, in All-Stars on SNES, of course, on NES Online, and a lot of different facets. And for me, it's always that map that I come back to and that sense of adventure. And I think that's what I love most about the game. But of course, I think we need to, obviously, believe it or not, in the Mario review, we got to talk about the platforming.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to chat a little bit about that. What do you think about the game mechanically?
Well, there's 2 sides to this Mario coin. All right. But there is the fact that this game does so much new mechanically that I think is very impressive and puts it pretty much leagues above the other 2, which, full disclosure, I still prefer the original Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 2 over Super Mario Bros. 3 just because those are connection to. But I recognize that this is the more complete, better game. Like that is not even a question. But the new mechanics that it does add, like sliding down hills, like picking up and grabbing things, like all the ways that the power-ups and interact with the environment, do make this game really interesting to play. There's a lot more interactability in the world, which is really fun. But as someone who's not into just straight up platforming. There was a lot of times in this game where I felt like I was just going through the motions. And that's really my biggest disconnect from this game. While I recognize all of its qualities, I have a hard time just playing through these levels that are just platforming challenges
Yeah.
and not really much more. I will, however, say that this game does, in a lot of levels, do that extra step more that I was looking for there. There are levels that are more based around puzzles where you pick things up, where you are trying to find your way through almost a maze. There are ones that have level specific gimmicks that I think are really cool that I honestly wish were fleshed out a little more, but it gives a lot of the levels a really unique flair. But the ones that are just straight up platforming, I thought were fine, but I didn't really like.
I've got two main things to say about the gameplay. The first is very subjective, but I love the way Mario feels in this game. I think I would take his physics in this game over basically any other Mario physics.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just for my taste. I like that he's not as momentum heavy as he is in World, and he's not so Mario 1 in Mario 3. I like the way he feels, which is nothing against Mario 1. It's just for my taste, I love that. But what I love more than that is how dynamic the gameplay feels just in the context of what it is. What I mean is you mentioned slopes, but there's also a lot more vertical elements here. Levels go higher. There'll also be sequences where you're going in and out of water. There are water levels, but there are sequences where you can go into the water and swim in a not primarily water level. You're going to go underground. You're going to be moving around a whole lot. And I think that there's a much like we're talking with the map, there's a much grander sense of adventure that differentiates this from just feeling obstacle based. It feels like you're going through a more real environment with more interesting things to interact with, which I really love.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think that is what ties into my biggest praise of this game, just to sort of shift away from the platform discussion, is the creativity that this game has in terms of its design. There are two sides to this. There's a lot of two sides in this in my review of this, but and these are both positive sides. This is the creativity in terms of the world design and the creativity in terms of the enemy design, which I both really like.
Ooh, it's falling asleep.
Oh God, you're right. Boink. Okay, all right. But this game has a very interesting theming in its worlds. There are some that are very average. You have your desert, you have your water, you've got your grass. The other half of the game is just balls to the walls. What the fuck? You've got Pipe World, which is, by the way, probably my favorite platforming world ever. Each of those levels is so different thematically and has such cool gimmicks and all that. I love that world. You have the Giant World. That's fantastic. I love that one, especially the one where you switch between the large and small. Oh, that's fantastic. And the Sky World, where you halfway through the world, you pop up to the clouds. You can see the rest of the level down below. It's just really cool, and it's really creative, especially because I'm used to the new Super Mario Brothers worlds, which don't have that luxury. But you'll put your spin on this, and I'll come back and talk about the enemy design.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with you to an extent. I feel like I really don't have fundamental issues with Mario 3.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like any places where I find myself, as you were saying, feeling disconnected from the gameplay experience comes from the fact that this informed so much of the Mario games after it in terms of theming.
Sure.
So while I love playing the game, there are times just with somebody who went back to Mario 3, you know, having had experiences with Mario from New Super Mario Brothers and then retroactively understanding these games. Mm-hmm. I don't have that level of resonance that other people have. Yeah. But at the same time, I really do love how this game did attempt to differentiate itself aesthetically, and I love the Giant World. I love it.
It's great.
I love it. It's a little bit wonky. I think like Galaxy 2 implemented that idea better, but also, of course, it did. You know, but that's just such
20 years later.
Yeah, but that's just an important point to understand that when I would pick a game like New Super Mario Brothers U or 2 over this, it's purely because that's what resonates with me more, the way that this resonates with people who grew up with it.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't have any negatives against what you said in terms of world design, but I just don't think that it hit with me the same way because I had seen the ideas in other places.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna spin my own spin off in a different direction, in a more sour direction. One of my biggest gripes about this game, gripes, criticism. We're mashing together words,
Sure.
but is how some of the levels in this game are just so repetitive. The castle levels and the airship levels suck. They're terrible. They all look the same. It ends every world in the exact same note, same cutscene, same dialogue, same animation of him jumping on the thing. It all looks the same. It's got the same dumb boom boom battle at the end of the castle. It's got the same dumb Koopaling battles, which are barely remixed. It's so interesting to see a game that has so much creativity in every other facet just take a nosedive in terms of uniqueness at the end of every level. And it's very frustrating to me because every time I reach one of those, they're not particularly difficult. They don't necessarily feel that grand because they all look the same. And I don't know, very, very frustrating to me.
I want to meet you halfway on that point because the castles I think are pretty boring.
Yeah.
But I have to say I really do like the airship levels. And part of it is what the airships as a whole do, because if you fuck up the airship and it moves someplace, I think, again, that's a really interesting way to integrate the actual platforming levels with the overworld components. I really like that. I love the airship music. I love how grand it is when Mario climbs up into them. I think there's a lot of really fun components to the airship levels, and I like the idea of the Koopalings quite a bit.
I like
And
the idea of them. I just don't like the execution where the boss battle is the same thing every time.
yeah, that makes sense. They obviously got more creative as they went along, but I have to say I have more of a soft spot for the airship levels than you do, I think. But
Yeah.
the castle levels are
Boom Boom fight, one of the worst boss fights in Mario.
but he gets wings.
Occasionally, but you can beat him before he gets wings. Like if you get good enough of that, I have videos of myself going pop pop pop, beat that battle in 5 seconds. It's just awful. But that is a minor criticism in terms of the rest of the game that is so creative. It just sticks out so much more to me when things feel samey, when they look samey. This game also has some really weird texturing in the backgrounds. Like the castle levels have this weird, like almost bone coral, like I don't know. It's really weird. It's white and black and it hurts my eyes. I don't know. There's some textures in this game that just piss me off. But other than that, visually, this game is absolutely fantastic too. I almost think it's detriment in some degrees. Hold on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know I had to give a dramatic pause, but also I had to fix that. Is that this game is one of the best looking games on the NES. It has fantastic sprites. It's so much better than its predecessors. But it does lead to this game being one of the most has the most slowdown and most visual tears than I've almost ever seen in any other major Nintendo game. I had so many issues with this game having screen tear on one side and improper loading on the other. With if just one extra sprite gets on screen, the game shits itself and it becomes unplayable for a few seconds until like a cannonball leaves the screen and you can keep playing normally. And it's because the game is pushing the hardware so much that it reaches that point. But I don't know. It's a weird pro and con balance there.
I love the way the game looks. And Colin Moriarty makes this point a lot about, I think, Mega Man 3, in the sense that there are some bosses where that slowdown is so integral to the way that game is played that removing it messes up your flow, your timing. And I think that there's something to be said for the way that the limitations of the NES informed the gameplay. And part of that is obviously nostalgia. Part of that is obviously muscle memory and the way people grew up playing them. But I do feel that it was just one of those considerations when you're playing a game from the 80s where you play with the slowdown.
Yeah.
Does that make it good design? No. But I have to say that with what the game does, I think that slowdown just becomes a facet of gameplay. It becomes, oh, okay, we're in the airship. There's a fucking million rocky wrenches throwing their tools around, and you've got cannonballs. So you play with the slowdown instead of against it.
Yeah.
So it's something to consider. It doesn't make it less inexcusable, but it also, I think, highlights what we bring to this experience.
Yeah, because coming at it from someone who has played Nintendo games since he was a wee lad and not had any of them have slowdown, not have any of them have that crazy visual tear. Like it was so distracting to me to have the very edge of the right side of the screen be like loading green. That just screwed me up. I hated that.
That also is the shitty emulation to an extent
Oh, is that
on
true?
uh I don't know if specifically this is true, but there is a lot of proxy pixels and a lot of errors that specifically NES and SNES Online have because they're emulating these games at such a high fidelity that you
Okay.
don't notice when you're playing on a fuzzier set. As far
Okay.
as I know, it happens a lot in Donkey Kong Country. We talked about it in our review. It happens a lot in DKC too, where
Yeah.
fucking old Diddy Kong is surrounded by a wave of gray. It's a lot. It's I believe that a
Hard in the
similar
corner, by
thing.
the way.
Card in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's understandable. It's just
Yeah.
definitely is one of my biggest gripes with this game. But I do think that it comes at the cost of it being such a visually appealing game. I really
Yes.
enjoy it. And that funnels right back around so ever smoothly to my favorite part of the game, which I think is the enemy design. I am a fan of so many of these wacky little characters that a lot of them have become iconic Mario staples, but some of them don't really show up again. And I think that really gives the game a really unique charm. Some of my personal highlights. I'm looking at the Super Mario Bros. 3 Mario wiki page right now, which is listing all the enemies. It's got one of them is a little hot foot, little fire guy with legs. He just walks around. I don't know. It's dumb. Never died to one of those, but looks funny like that. The Munchers, I think those look great. The Patuis, the walking piranha plants that hover the spike balls head. Of course, Spike, an enemy that became iconic. Same with Chain Chomps, and the Rocky Wrenches. The Stretch, which is a boo that's glued to a platform. That's so weird. It's great. I love it. And the Walking Piranhas, which I don't even know if you can really kill them. Maybe with a fireball or something, but they can't be jumped on and they just sort of walk around. I don't know. There's a lot of really cool enemy designs in this game, and the sprite work is fantastic, and they're all so well animated that it just made it fun for me to discover a new enemy because some of them are only in very specific circumstances, and I think that makes them really special.
The enemy design is really special. I think the power up design is really special too.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the Hammer Brothers suit is probably my favorite Mario power up of all time.
That honor goes to the blue shell from New Super Mario Bros. DS
You
for
cut
me.
me off because it's in very close contest with that power up, which fucking rules, especially if
Yeah.
you're playing the versus mode
Yep.
in that game, which is highly underrated, by
Yeah,
the
that's a
way.
fantastic versus mode.
Fantastic. But between that suit and the Tanuki Leaf, they're such interesting power ups. And then you got to give a shout out to the Frog suit too,
Yeah, I like the
which
front suit.
I think Mario power ups can have an issue of feeling too situational. And while the frog suit is about as situational as they come, I think the
Yeah.
inventory system helps make that feel a bit more organic.
Yeah.
And then I just think that the Super Leaf and the Tanuki suit are such incredible and versatile power ups. I love the P system, where you can don't clip it, where you can charge that up and fly around the sky. I really think that that's fun, and for me that was an implementation of momentum in a Mario platform
Yeah.
that makes more sense than basing the entire game around momentum like World does. So I really love the power ups too.
Yeah, and you mentioned the P system, the P meter. I love P.
We know, we're well aware.
But I think that is something that is kind of underrated about this game. Talking about the power ups being great with flying in the Tanuki suit and the level design and all of that, but underlying all of that is just this new momentum mechanic that is really fun to use. I mean, because you get a little speed boost when you hit the top. So it really incentivizes you to want to get to know the levels and be able to blast through them so you can carry that oh so satisfying speed where you get the little tinkle of Mario's feet while he stretches out his arms. I do think that that's a great system that I don't hear people talk about as much. This game is so widely lauded as one of the greatest of its genre. But that mechanic in particular, I think, is one of the things that makes this game so special.
Yeah. I just think that there's so much to the ethos of this game that makes it so fun. From its reveal in the Wizard to its box art to its presentation. I think the last thing I want to touch on is the concept, thank you, of this being a play.
Sure.
I really love that idea. I just think that this game I think it speaks to how cohesive this game is.
Yeah.
And how much it was developed with a thoughtful eye. from a gameplay perspective to an aesthetic perspective to a presentational perspective, everything about this game feels really intentional, other than the fucking dumb difficulty spike in the last world.
I didn't. I mean, look, I used rewind a lot,
Yeah.
but maybe it's because I'm used to / bored with the airship levels, but I didn't find that last world any much harder than the other worlds before it.
It might just be because it's just tank after tank after tank.
Yeah.
That makes it feel that way. But on the whole, I just think this is such a thoughtful and well put together game.
Yeah. It really is. And I came into this thinking that, oh, people are blinded by nostalgia. I usually have that overly critical lens going in, and it means that I end up more surprised when I enjoy something than because I usually go in thinking that I'm not going to enjoy it as much, and people are just, they were stupid kids when they played it. But this game really does have a lot of its merits, and I think a lot of its hype comes from nostalgia. I think that its mechanics have been carried over in some ways better ways in future games and other titles that have spanned across the entire industry. But I do think that a lot of the merit is 100% deserved. And this game does deserve a lot of the hype that it gets. And I'm happy that I'm now a Super Mario Brothers 3 fan. And also, this game, combined with, of course, Super Mario Land, which I've been playing a lot of, have kind of turned me around on straight-up platforming. I'm really having a good time with these games, and I'm excited to give a look at Super Mario World, another game that people absolutely adore, and putting my spin on that. I'm saying people, not Abram Buner, but people.
I'm very excited to talk to you about Super Mario World, but I'm very excited to hear you coming around on this more. I still need to sit with the whole 2D Mario series a little bit more and understand how I truly feel about it in its entirety.
Yeah, it hasn't been out for long enough.
But the reason I said that is because having played through the 3D Mario games again recently with fucking All-Stars, I have a deeper appreciation for those games, and I still find myself enjoying 2D Mario as a whole, but still feeling how you were feeling a little while ago, where it is just 2D Mario, and I'd rather be playing a different franchise.
Yeah.
But then there becomes a game like Mario 3, which is so transcendent of that I think it deserves a special note on its own. Is it the best?
Oh. We gotta cut out on the line, is it the best?
I said, is it the best? Are you gonna...
Oh, Lord. Okay.
You're back.
Right. Is it the best?
Is it the best platformer on NES? No. It's not Mega Man 2. It's not Kirby Adventure.
Okay, all right.
But it's up there, and I really enjoy it. And I'm excited to continue our adventure into debating the classic Mario titles. But that's what all I have to say about 3.
Yeah, no, honestly, itch my eye. Okay, I'm honestly very happy to hear you praising this game so much. When I heard you give me a mischievous grin and say, "Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you about this game," I thought you were going to come in guns blazing saying this game sucked. For some reason, that was just my assumption, and I'm happy to see we're pretty much on the same page, to be 100% honest. And it makes me both hesitantly excited and worried about the Super Mario World discussion, because it seems like there's some sort of twist there that you're going to throw into the machine, but we'll see when we get there. I will start playing that game very soon. I'm on a kick right now, and I might as well just keep the momentum going like a pee meter. We know I love pee, and I'm just going to keep peeing.
I like listening to you talk about how much you love Mario's tinkles, so I hope that continues in the next discussion too.
Oh God. Okay.
Of course, I really hope that this momentum carries you through a lovely little video game called Yoshi's Island, which I'd love to discuss with you.
Yes, it certainly will.
Because that game fucks. That game's great. It's no crafted world, but it's pretty great. But I think we're done here. We've talked about a very important game, a game that I have less personal affinity for, but I have very deep respect of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Unless you have any final thoughts you'd like to add.
No, I've said my piece. I've rambled a lot, quite a lot here. Go read my review.
It's a good discussion. It'll be linked in the description. But folks, hold on. Look behind you. I feel like we're torturing someone in Guantanamo Bay and not letting them go to sleep. You might want to cut that part out. It's up to you. I don't care
I
either way.
have no idea. All right. See you guys later.
Goodbye.
Look, I'm playing the Switch. Fuck, the mirror is making it hard. Look at me go.
You really do have a real 12-year-old boy energy today, which I like.
I know you like 12-year-old boys.
Let's start the recording.
Okay.